Hello, hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. I'm trying to play your awesome intro, and my
I was
computer is
thinking
acting
something was
crazy.
missing.
Yeah, I'm gonna play it for you guys. Here we go.
Here we
Hey
go.
guys, welcome back to the Calling the Forgotten Files. I am one of your hosts, Shannon Rogers, and we have Jen Lee. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Whew, it was a crazy day. We got caught up with a bad infomercial venture. I got one of those cordless automatic curlers. No, I'm gonna do take those down.
Two thumbs down.
My hair is wilding out right now. It's crazy. But we're just gonna roll with it because I literally had to.
Whatever, right? That's just
Yeah.
what we're going to do.
Yes. Show 9. We're still kind of new guys and we're having fun. We're learning more as we go. Thank you guys that have just been watching all the time and being loyal and commenting and everything. We really appreciate it. And we had a great show last week with Beth Allen. It was really enjoyable to be able to, chat and catch up with her as usual. She's like a sister to me. So what's going on, Jen?
Same old. I had a really good week, though. Did you have a good week?
I did. I had a rough morning and then I raised my own frequency and got through it. And it ended up being a really great day. So, yeah, I really did.
Perfect.
So,
Good.
yeah.
Yep.
Go ahead.
So we survived Mercury retrograde.
I made a lot of posts about that. Like, see you next time.
So all is good.
Yes.
Forward motion.
All right, so we have an interesting show tonight. We are doing back to back. Our very first guest, I'm really excited to have on. She is the Danish medium. She's Medium Valentina Marie, and I've been chatting with her a little bit backstage, and she's really awesome. She's got great energy, and I cannot wait to share her with you guys. I'm sure most of y'all already know who she is, so let's bring her on.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Oh. Hi. And so, Valentina, thank you for joining us. Once again, you were willing to come on last minute. We had another schedule change, and it's very, very, very great to have you on.
Thank you.
So, for those out there who don't know who you are, can you give us a little description about who you are, what you do, where you're from?
Okay, well, I am Valentina Marie. I go by that. And I am a psychic medium. And I'm originally from Denmark, but currently living in Florida.
You've lived in a lot of places. I was reading up on that. And you were in the Swiss Alps, you were with the Eskimos in Alaska, and I'm in Hawaii. And I'm like, okay, she's kind of awesome.
And no, I wasn't an army brat, or people always, oh, were your parents in the army? No. This is just my life. So bless you.
Thank you.
So that's just how, my mother was a firm believer in just really giving me culture and just different places to live. I think that's really important in growth, to just sort of see the good and the bad in other parts of the world. And, yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Didn't you, I think I read that your parents were physicians, correct?
Yes. They split up shortly after, so that's what caused my mother to come to Switzerland and have me there, and then really just started moving me all over the world. And then in true fashion, like when I was old enough to be on my own, I'm like, well, we don't want to stop this kind of structure. So I just moved myself all over the world.
There you go. That's awesome. 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 Awesome.
Do you have a favorite place that you have been?
Yes, but I didn't live there. I've been to Tahiti twice, and honestly, if heaven was here on earth, that would be it.
Really?
It is like untouched. The clouds kiss the ocean. I mean, it is turquoise waters. It is something phenomenal for sure.
I've heard it was beautiful. I absolutely have. But you live in a lot of places that are definitely on my wish list. And another
Yeah.
thing on my wish list is to have a reading from you.
Oh yes, well that is probably very easy versus hopping on a plane there. So for sure, we have a little other guest here.
Oh, that's your baby.
No idea what's going on, right? Don't look at me like that. She's on my lap here. So
What's her name?
Aura,
Aura.
like a spiritual aura.
Yeah,
I like that.
so cute. So, talking about readings,
Yes.
can you tell us a little bit about yourself, about the kind of readings you do, how you started?
Yeah, so how I started actually quite some time ago, many decades. I had a traumatic brain injury, and unfortunately that fall jumbled up everything to the point where I broke some cords in my meninges and actually started infecting my brain, and I was starting to slip into a coma. But I guess eventually when I went to the ER, they called it in time, and ever since then nothing was ever the same. Pretty much I could like hug people and I could tell when they were going to die or what they had wrong with them. And there was a lot of just like, what is happening to me? Everything became so hypersensitive. And of course, there was no internet back then. So it wasn't until the internet came later that I started typing everything up and trying to put together what had happened, what part had been damaged, why am I, everything is hypersensitive and I can, predict things. And so, yeah, I mean, it wasn't something I woke up and like, let's be psychic. I had,
Right.
and it wasn't back then in the 90s. It was barely, late 80s. It wasn't really that popular. So, flash forward to moving to LA and being very busy with my modeling career. And then when my parents passed in in 2010, I started going on like paranormal conventions, and all the ghosts kept coming to me and talking to me and telling me how they died. And I'm like, wow, they really want to, like, they're not shy around me. They come because sometimes I feel them in the room, and if others are with me, they just kind of stand in the corner. But they would always come and talk to me. And so from there, I formed my own paranormal team. And then there was a sensitive on the team, and he's like, you don't need that equipment. And I'm like, of course I do. He's like, no, you're a psychic. I go, no, that's people on TV. That's not me. I don't know how to do that. And then he started kind of being what I call my Yoda and teaching me. And the next thing, I guess, according to him, I became so powerful. He goes, I can't even help you anymore. I'm like, don't leave me. I don't even know what to do with these gifts. Like, just like you're done with me all of a sudden. So from there, I thought, well, shoot, I guess I'm going to have to just train myself. I don't know what to do anymore. And then in 2015, I lost my father. And then 2 weeks later, my mother. And at that point, I was like, wow, okay, I just want to talk to my mother all the time. And, oh, are you just waving? I'm sorry. I'm just
waving.
Oh my God. I'm missing the cues here.
No, I didn't want to interrupt you. And I just wanted to say hi. I was
waving.
Oh, okay. Everyone wave. No, randomly. No. So that was the beginning of me just wanting to help others with that pain, because it was so painful for me that I just thought, I guess now after all these years, I'm ready to use my gifts now and help people. So the mediumship helps connect with loved ones that have passed. So I'm that voice. And then for those that don't know, psychic is connecting with the living and helping them So I'm kind of like a spiritual life coach when it comes to helping people with their lives.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you offer, so in your readings, do you separate them, or are they kind of a combination?
They are, because what people don't really understand is it's a lot easier to read somebody across the room because the energy's, the cord is very short. And when I do the mediumship, one, it takes a lot more energy. Two, it's a lot more work to go up there and find everyone. So I do them separate, but then some people are like, oh, I wish you just did, them together. So then I thought, shoot, I'll make one for together then if people want to do that. But I mean, I started off, and this is how little I knew back then. My crossover mediumship readings were 3 hours long. And then I managed to sit in this mediumship circle, and she's like, the teacher goes, never do any more than 30 minutes. And I'm like, holy cow, what the hell was I thinking? 3 hours.
3 hours is a long time.
I know, but like, I mean, that's how much I was in the zone. And then so I'm like, well, I'm cutting that immediately. That is stopping now. So yes, now they are 30-minute readings, and people want an hour, and I have to explain, I'm sorry, that's enough. Because literally, it's weird. The psychic readings make me a lot more tired than the mediumship readings. Hi, Jerry.
I know, there's Jerry.
The mediumship readings tend to make me really hyper because I just connect with such a high vibration that when I'm done, I'm like, like I'm on a 6-pack of Coca-Cola or something. But the psychic readings, I tend to like get super drained, and then usually by 5 I'm already in pajamas and like good night, 5:30, good night. So yeah, I mean, both definitely have their pros and cons, if you will. I mean, I probably like the mediumship more, but I mean, I also like doing the psychic readings because I like being able to get those updates from my clients saying, oh my God, you changed my life. We sold the house, just like you said. I left this guy like you told me to. So just that reward, I think, is, very rewarding, being able to contribute to helping people turn their life around.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hi, Michael.
And I get that, like you said, a 6-pack of Coca-Cola, because like if I happen to start pinging where, sometimes I know when my fingers do it. I'm an intuitive empath. I don't claim any more than that. But, spiritual conduit when they choose me, but it's not like an all the time thing. But sometimes when it hits, I'm bouncing. I'm like,
right,
I'm a live wire, and I'm like, I am so wide open. That's why I told you about that Moldavite I bought. I was like, oh no, this is not for me.
Oh yeah. No, yes, I get it. No, it is. I actually have mine on every night. But ever since I'm so addicted to it, I can't even take it off now. My dreams are so frigging vivid and fun, and I'm so busy exploring and astral projecting. I will never take this Moldavite off, I'm telling you.
That's awesome. Some people can just wear it and some people can't. And I mean, I'm like holding it with kitchen tongs and oven mitts.
Biohazard suit on.
Yes, that one that I bought from you, that pendant necklace. I already told Lauren, she's in the chat with us. Yes. I told her, she's like, why did you buy a Moldavite? Because she's my old roommate, and I call her my crystals dealer. She's my dealer because I had a plethora of crystals that ready to buy at any moment. And she knows what I went through. Every time I would even get close to Moldavite, it was like purge, insanity. She's like, why did you get Moldavite? I'm like, well, because I'm giving it to you. And she loved it, by the way.
Oh, did it already come?
No, but I showed her pictures.
Oh, yeah. I thought, I was like, man, that's quick. I just dropped it off this morning. Okay.
So I have a question.
Yes.
I read that you do some psychic detective work. Jen does as well, and that's something I have such a curiosity and an interest in. And I haven't for years. I've been interested into it, where I want to learn more and stuff like that. So, how do you take on your clients? How do you know?
So generally they find me. The families contact me because they have just had no luck with the police. The police are taking too long. They can't afford an autopsy. Sometimes in some of the cases, unfortunately, they just want to know if they should continue searching, or they dead or alive, because that all of this gets pricey. Search units, whatever they call them, search and rescue, private detectives, all that stuff. So I'm called in when the family needs some help getting closure. Especially, I work on a lot of mystery murder cases, mystery death. They don't know how they passed, or they need help with that. So I will go in, connect with the deceased, and they will take me through everything, and I will give them all the clues that they need so that they can sort of move forward.
There you go.
Yeah, it's intense.
Do you actively work them for a really long time, or is it just kind of like a reading and see what you pick up then?
Usually I'll connect with the deceased. If the family is sitting at my house at wanting answers, the answers come immediately. If I have more time to work on it, then I will make friends with the deceased, and some of them come at night. So I have a notebook on my bed, and I wake up all night writing down very detailed information. It's weird because I'm like, gosh, and I mean, the one guy was coming to me every single day, and I'm like, okay, I guess this is how my sleep is going to be. And, I'll catch up later, because this is how he chose to come and talk to me, was during the dead of my sleep, because maybe that worked more. I don't know. But for him, that was the way. And then other people, I'm able to sit awake and chat with them and get information. So it's not, thank God, it's not always like that I have to sleep. And the paper was just scribbled, because I'm scribbling in the dark. So there's words upon words, and I'm like, I hope I can figure this out in the morning.
Yeah, that's how mine look, from scribbling in the dark and half asleep. And sometimes I don't even open my eyes, because I just have the notebook and pen, and I just scribble like a word or something, like a trigger word.
Yes.
And I'm lucky in the morning if I can see it, if I haven't written over it.
Right? I know, it's insane. Somebody should sleep next to you that just turns the pages, like the musicians do, like they just so the page turner
starts dictating my dreams, writing them down for me.
Yeah, somebody should just be right there, an assistant sleeping in your bed. No, that's not weird at all.
Have you had like any time that you've connected with spirit that it literally shook you and scared you to your core?
No, I don't see. Well, first, I don't call it spirit. Like, it really drives me nuts that people call it spirit. Probably because I was a cheerleader, and there's just something about calling it spirit that sounds really weird, like spirit. So I just, I mean, maybe source, I just call it the universe. Because I think there's more than one spirit. So I would have to say connecting to spirits. Maybe that sounds wrong too. So I mean, because everything I connect to is pure light and goodness, with the exception of when I was under demonic attack a few years ago. Then there was both things coming through, but mostly dark things, because I was in a place of starting to work for the light. And so there was this struggle of like, who's going to get her? Is it going to be Team Devil, or, which team is she going to be on? And so there was literally a struggle. I could feel every day I'd wake up, and it's like the angels are trying to get me on their side. The demons are working at me. And finally, when the battle was finally won, after one house was exorcised, then I moved, and another house was exorcised, because they weren't letting go of me. Finally, Bill Bean ended up doing the exorcism, and not like full on, but it was getting close to that point, because they were telling me to kill myself. He just fought for me so hard, and then finally we beat it. And then after that, it's like, I feel that I am now on the right team. I am Team Light. And from that point on, no demons will mess with me at all. Like, I am so repulsive to them. So I'm so fearless. And so, like, I'll go in anywhere. I'll go into the devil's lair. I don't care. Nothing will ever happen to me. So I'm, on the spiritual demonic side ever again. So I have no fear at all. I'm all
I kind
right.
of gathered that from you.
I mean, I'm a shark diver, so it's like you can't get any scary. I will take on any
Are you?
scary thing. Yeah, I dive with. I've been certified since 2004. I'm advanced and deep, and so all my dives usually involve diving with sharks. That's
Wow.
That's my comfort zone. Graveyards,
Swimming with the
sharks.
sharks.
Just give me the weirdest, creepiest thing. I will do it all by myself.
So in a cage, right?
No, they're out in the
Oh,
open. I've yet to ever go in the cage. They're always just swimming around me.
I
I
can't
just
even do
That's how I
that.
like it. That's how I like it.
I found out in Disney World about 16 years ago when they had the Shark Tank there, the little mini sharks. And I went out there and I'm like, oh, I'm going to have some fun. I got the snorkel on. As soon as I put my face in the water, I panicked and hyperventilated. And they had to come out and save me with those big Q-tips they have.
Oh my
And then I
God.
tried snorkeling a couple times. Was it Cancun or Cozumel? I don't remember which one, but I got a little bit better. Like I made myself face that. But the
Okay.
concept of breathing underwater.
Oh
And
yeah, if you can't get past that yet,
I
then
can't. I got better at it, but I was cool. I at least made myself do it again and face the fear of it. But I don't
yeah.
even know where the fear came from. But to do that with sharks, like big sharks, no, I'm
Yeah.
good.
No, because it's like I'm in their world now, and it's like this respect thing. It's like I'm not going to hurt you, you're not going to hurt me. We're going to enjoy each other and just commune, and connect. And it's just such a respect thing to be down there and in their world. And it's just like, oh my God, that's my happy space.
I like that actually a lot. Yeah, it is all about the energy and the connection. So that's very nice to
Exactly.
do that.
When I say hi to people, can they hear us? Or I'm typing everyone's name saying hi, but nobody's saying hi
It depends
back.
on which chat room you're in, because one of them might because there's some
Oh,
different.
I put private chat. Never mind. Geez,
Oh
look at all
no,
the people commenting here. I've been in the wrong chat here.
Yeah, switch to where it says the comments. They'll be able to see it.
Duh. Okay. Wow. Hello.
yes,
And,
is
and
fine.
Elvis died. Did you know? No. Okay. All right. Let me read here. Oh, okay. Hi, everyone. Okay. Yay.
And if you have any questions for Valentina, please pop those into the chat. We will be more than happy to discuss your questions with her. So before, when everything kind of changed for you, when you were younger, like as a child, did you have experiences that kind of maybe were leading up to having abilities?
Well, it's funny because sometimes I hear people they're from a long line of psychics, or my mother, my grandmother. I mean, my mother was a doctor. My grandmother really just kept the house. So it really started with me. But my mother, in some random talk, because we had this gorgeous, like 3-bedroom Victorian house. It was huge. It was just one of those now you'd want to buy, and you could turn it into a bed and breakfast or something. And she's like, yeah, sometimes my parents would go out, and I'd come back in the room and all the chairs were stacked on top of the table, and I'm like, what? Why didn't you tell me that sooner? Like, how do you keep this from me? This is exciting stuff. So I think my mother was open to it. And strangely enough, when I was cleaning out her rooms and house after she passed, there was over 30 books on UFOs, Sasquatch, life after death, James Ron Prague, all these psychics, afterlife. So I think, I mean, and they're from like the 70s. So this means that my mother was secretly reading all this stuff shortly after I was born, and she believed in it. So that's why I also think she's so good at communicating with me from the other side and sending signs every day. And she works with me on all the readings with me, because it's almost like her whole life she read all this and prepared for it. So when she got on the other side, she's really good at it, coming through and visiting with me. So it really helps me. And it helped me right after she passed, that I already knew that she gave me a sign the next day through the TV. She put this song on, and I was like, holy cow. So at that point, I knew I was going to be okay. I said, if you can keep this up, I'm going to be okay without you here, but you've got to just keep it coming. And then I will do my duty and help, relieve the pain from other people. So you help me and I will help others. And that's how it works.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, this world is so limited and minimal, and
it really is.
God, that the other side can do magic, I'm telling you.
It's like my best friend just passed away, and I know he's here helping me. Like it's just weird, these characteristics. Like with my job, I'm picking up his work characteristics, like big time. Like and just little things, and like eagles flying past the window like 10 or 15 times, and my ring spinning that he made me. He was a master jeweler, all kinds of different things. And I'm just like, okay, I knew you would be there for me. I knew you would. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I really, really love that.
It's awesome. So where have you investigated as a paranormal investigator? Like some of your favorite places?
It's funny because when I had the team, I had a little more control. I would always try to book. I was also the case manager and the location person and the president and whatever else. And so I'm also the hair club president. So anyway, so I would just come up with the coolest places, and I would just pay to get all these locations for my team. And honestly, probably my favorite to this day. Well, obviously the Queen Mary has a special place in my heart because I would go there anywhere between 20 to 30 times a year. I would find any excuse to go. That place never disappoints. But when I took my team all the way up to Sacramento, to Preston Castle, which was featured on Ghost Avengers, but I just went there because it was like, okay, great. You guys gave me a good idea of where to go. I'm not going there because you went there, but I need some ideas. And, it was like a 9-hour drive up there, but it was so worth it. It didn't disappoint. It was just one freaking thing after another, and whistles. And I kept getting touched by this little boy on my shoulder. And then I actually managed to photograph a little boy running in front of me, a little ghost boy. So that, I think, to this day, I've been to the Stanley. That was like really boring. The only thing.
Thank you.
Truth comes from me only.
I did smell the rose perfume. That was about it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, I don't know if it was because I was at a large convention in a big group, but it was so disappointing. And then I asked for the most haunted room, and of course they gave it away because I got there late. So then they made it up to me by giving me one of those corner rooms that looks right at the Rockies, which had this, the only time I was a little freaked out, and nothing really freaks me out. But have you ever seen those oval full-size mirrors that you can swivel?
Yeah.
That stood in the corner, and I was like, I don't know. I have a feeling something's going to show up there when I'm sleeping. So I literally flipped the mirror around, which I was like, B, you're not scared of anything. Why are you flipping a mirror around? But I did have a little bowl of fruit in a plastic, container I bought at the store. And it was on the dresser. And when I came back in the room, the lid was off and in the middle of the room on the floor. And I mean, had it popped up because it got hot or pressure, it would have just fallen on the dresser,
Right.
But the lid was in the middle of the room on the floor. So that was as paranormal as it got. And I wasn't even there to see it. You messed with my fruit.
Right. I used to live about less than an hour drive from that. I lived right outside of Loveland. And I used to go up there many times, and I went to the Estes plenty of times, but it was Estes Park, but I really mostly went to go see the elk, to be honest with you, because the elk just run so wild and free there. Like they have open range and they cross the road. You just sit and wait for them to get done fighting in the middle of the street, but it's so beautiful up there. I love
it. It is. You have to watch out because I got out not thinking about how high up you are. And I pulled all my suitcases, and all of a sudden I was out of breath and my head is spinning, and I'm like, why am I sick? And then everyone told me about the altitude sickness, and a lot of people were throwing up. And so it was quite interesting. It's a beautiful building, and I was just happy to be there where Stephen King was inspired. But honestly, on the scare factor save your money, folks. Go somewhere else.
It's not the same hotel as the movie. It was the inspiration. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And even,
Terry was there, you know.
it's so limited in what happens there. Honestly, folks, put your money somewhere else. Go to a penitentiary or Eastern State or an asylum or something else instead. Which
Right.
is my bucket list. Speaking of like where I'd like to go, any one of those. And I'm right there by Kentucky and West Virginia, but I'd like to get to some asylums. I think that would be really interesting to see what they do to me. No.
Have you ever investigated a brothel? I love investigating.
Yes.
I love them.
I did one in Rialto, California, and I was sitting and communicating, and all of a sudden I felt an unseen hand go like this. And I got all frozen, and my team members noticed. He's like, "What's happening?" I said, "Somebody is starting to touch my chest." And then I turned to the owner. I said, "What was this place before it became an art gallery?" And she goes, "It was a brothel." And I said, "Oh, I think somebody still thinks it's a brothel." That was like really creepy.
I've had my rear end grabbed many a times in brothels, and I've been to Old Park Hotel, I think 22 times
Oh, wow.
in the last 2 years, and then I've been to Dumas Brothel up in Montana, Butte, Montana. Highly recommend.
Okay.
It was the longest running brothel, in American history. It was, and they closed it down in the 90s. Like it's just insane, the history of that place, and the activity there is through. I'm already getting chills thinking about it. Is
Wow.
through the roof. It was like, to me, the Mecca when I went there. I'm like, they like just the different levels of energy that's there is insane, and I highly recommend anyone to go there.
Okay.
What did you said it was in Butte, Montana, but what did you call it?
The Dumas, or some people call it Damas.
The Dumas.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay.
And it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. The owners are really kind. They're trying to get it cleaned up, and because it would almost would have been sold and maybe even knocked down. And so the people that bought it, they are trying to keep it going. And it's insane. Like the bottom, it was there's 3 floors, the basement, and then the 2 upper levels. The street level was for the common folk. The high, to do was on, the doctors, lawyers, politicians were on the top floor. And in the basement, which had an opening into the mines, the coal mines, was just, the women were treated so horribly. The speakeasy was down there. All the tunnels were down there. And, they didn't have good bathing situations back in those days. And like the men would just keep coming, and they had a bell system back then. And so if they had to hit the buzzer for the bell to call for like security to come help them in a situation, they would lose their money. So they took whatever that was coming towards them. And a lot of those women had actually lived in the Cabbage Patch, which is the shanty town, which was a couple hundred yards away, because like their husband died in the mine. So there, I witnessed the chills again.
Yeah.
Some of those women that were communicating with me that their husbands had actually was getting blown up, like mine explosions. And so them and their kids would have to go live in these, shanty towns up in Butte, Montana. There were stories of doctors that would volunteer to go see the children there. And they had to chisel these 2 little toddlers off the ground because I guess their sippy cut, whatever they wet themselves or whatever in the night, and they froze to the floor.
Oh.
Yeah. So it was just, the energy there it's a lot of it's fun, and a lot of it's just, oh my gosh, heart-wrenching, but highly recommend it.
Okay. That's good to know. Yeah, Butte's popping up a lot lately on the paranormal shows. So I've actually been there, but when I was younger and just driving through for holiday, not on a paranormal adventure. So now I need to go back.
Yes. And that's where Stephanie Cox, she's been on the show, and she's one of my mentors. I actually met her at at the Dumas Brothel in Butte, Montana. And it's just amazing up there. The people are so nice, but when I was doing a little bit of background checking on you, girl, you are so eclectic. Like, absolutely.
Me? Are you talking about, you're not talking about me, are you?
What
did I do now?
A model, been on TV show, just music videos, like the list is endless of things that you do or have done or have experienced. Like, you have lived.
I call myself an overachiever, and I'm not proud of it, to be honest. I I bore myself, to be honest, and that's where all that comes from. And then opportunity. I mean, universe has really just blessed me with just crazy stuff that falls in my lap, and I'm like, okay, I'll do it. I love a challenge, so I just take
Right.
on stuff here. But yeah, I mean, life goes by so quickly, that you might as well just grab life by the horns and just, I think my mother taught me that, just, because she's a lot like me. She was an overachiever as well, and just loved life and just travel, and drove a sports car. And so I think that there's this need to be like her, maybe. But also, when she gave up being a doctor to raise me, she started living very vicariously through me. So I wasn't just living for myself, I was living for two people. And I would call her every day. It's like, okay, this is what we did today, So I think that's where that comes from, that I always had to make sure that I was living for two people for my mother's sake, and carrying that torch when she gave it up for me. So that's where that need for just experiencing things and traveling, and just living a really wild life. I mean, I know I'll have more. It's not like it's the only one, but
Right.
I'm living right now
Yeah.
like it's the only one, and then I'll get another one, and I'm going to live that one like it's the only one.
I literally took the two words out of my head, living vicariously. And I was like,
Really?
I was getting that image and you said it. As far as just, as you told, when you talked about your mom, I could see you living your life for both of you, vicariously.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, because she's so important. And even to this day, I talk to her all day, and I actually have gotten to the point that we're so close, because I know as a medium, we generally cannot channel our own people, our own loved ones, because there's too many memories, and our own memories taint, the reading. But I've actually gotten it to the point now where I can hear my own mother's voice talking to me, and she actually, on her own, it's not even me thinking about her, she answers back in. And so we have an incredible relationship. I know is unlike other people and their deceased loved ones, where we just really are chatting all day. I mean, I could be at the store and I hear her telling me, don't buy that dress, that's ugly. And I mean, she's being her typical self, very opinionated. When she doesn't like something, I get to hear about it, and she still does that to this day. So I mean, and she also comments when she likes stuff. But like yesterday we were watching a movie and she made some comment, and I mean, so she does chime in out of the blue a lot, which is just kind of shocking.
That's a blessing, though. I mean, because I would just hope, I have two amazing dads and two amazing moms. They all get along. Like
Yeah.
if something happened to one of them, I don't know. Like, I would just hope that I could keep that bond going, that our bond is strong enough in life that it would continue on in death,
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it definitely is, but you might at least, when my grandmother passed, because she also was like my second mom, I guess her and my mother made something like, when you pass, touch me on the right shoulder so I know it's you. And when my mother passed without me there, I was like, God, I didn't get to like figure out what we should, what will be the sign, what we're going to do, what's going to be your thing. I won't know. So I was a little pissed off at that. And then sometimes I feel my right shoulder and I'm like, well, was that grandma? Is that for me? Because we didn't discuss that, that sign. And so, but my mom has a little light in the hallway that she's able to turn on by herself. And then, of course, the 1023 is her birthday, and she sends that quite often. So she's established other things that she uses. But I was like, oh, we didn't really talk about the exit, motions or whatever you want to call them. And so I feel a little cheated out. But given that she knew what I did, because she passed shortly after I started doing this, I'm glad that she knew, because that really helped in her being able to do it on the other side, and me being open enough to know. So I think everything worked out the way it should,
Right, exactly.
I mean, other than the fact that I'd give anything to have her here still, but I mean, I mean, and maybe that's how the universe worked, gave me these gifts so that they knew that I would be so heartbroken when my mother passed, that it's like, we're going to give you something so that you are able to communicate and continue that relationship, because it means so much to me. So, everything happens for a reason. But I mean, honestly, these gifts were not anything I even nearly thought about using for so long, and then she became that trigger where I'm like, I need to be able to use these so I can talk with her.
Oh,
interesting. Yeah. So it is hard to connect to our own family. You know, I have a hard time connecting with my brother. I can feel when he's around, you know, I know when he's around, but to sit down and have a conversation, you're absolutely right. I think about memories, right? And so
Right.
I don't have this clear, is that my mind, or he actually like telling me that?
Exactly. And that's what people don't understand, because people come to me and they're like, "Oh, can you teach me how to be a medium? I need to talk to my whatever." And I'm like, "Well, you're still going to need one of us, because
Yeah.
unfortunately it's, if believe me, I wish I could wave a magic wand and everyone can talk, but it's just not that way. All you can do is look for the signs and things, the audio visible signs, but the talking in your head and things like that is never going to happen. And people get very disappointed, but I'm sorry, unfortunately our subconscious has so many memories, and our consciousness,
Oh, it
that
does.
they just, you're not going to be able to really know if it's you or if it's really coming from that person.
Yeah, absolutely. So talking about signs, signs are one of my favorite things, because I love it when clients will tell me about a sign, or when I can see, you know, when I can see a
Yes.
sign that they've had, or a sign that's coming. So let's talk about that. Like, what
Yeah.
are some of your favorite stories about that?
Oh man. Well, when I do the readings, I always make sure that they're getting some sort of signs or something like that, to make sure that they are communicating. And sometimes they say, "Hey, well, they did this and that. Is that a sign?" And sometimes I have to flat out tell them, "No, that was not a sign. That might be angels or something else," because signs are usually very particular and specific. And um, I mean, I had a crazy one. Um, this woman did a reading with me, and then she goes, "I literally laid down and the phone took a picture of my dead sister, or my dead sister figured out how to send a photo. It was blurry as hell, but no, but here's where it gets it. I still have the picture, because I'm like, so then she sends me a picture, a real picture of a sister with the same tank top on, the same face. And even though this image is blurry, it is definitely her sister. But the picture came through, and it's almost like my client took a nap. The sister picked up the cell phone, took a selfie from the other side. That's kind of why it's blurry, and then set the phone down.
Wow.
And so to this day, I mean, I've never heard of that happening, honestly. And then there was another one where a client sent me a photo of her deceased father, and she's napping, but you can see a man's hand reaching in and touching the baby.
Aw.
So, I mean, that's not really signs, but I mean, definitely the selfie picture was a very unique sign that I'm sure took a lot of energy to do, because that's not a normal sign. Normal signs might be birds, insects,
Right.
things like that, or working with electronics. I always tell them to look out for that. If any electronics act up, they're moving through that and doing things. So there's definitely various ways to but I love the confirmation. I also teach, I also give the deceased this particular sign, and so when those come back, my clients are quite shocked, and I'm able to do that. I've actually taught the deceased a particular language to in a sign to come back with, and when that happens, they're pretty blown away. So those are because I don't like using regular things, so I try to
Right. Yeah.
because when people come and like, "Oh, a feather, a coin," I'm like, people drop coins, birds drop feathers. We really can't use that as a sign, at least not in my book, the way I run things. For my show at my house.
Some deliberate intent here. It's like,
What?
use some deliberate intent with the meanings of what we're going to see.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, but again, if my client is dead set on pennies or dimes, I have to respect that and say, okay, that's,
Absolutely.
in my head, I'm like, I don't think that's a sign, but if that works for you, it makes you happy, have a jar of pennies or, dimes. I never want to shoot someone down if that's what they're using, but I have to be honest and say I don't really think that's a sign. But continue to collect them if that helps you.
I was doing a reading one time with a lady, and she had her phone, right? We were doing like a video reading. She had her phone, and I started talking to her about her father's garden. And she said, "Oh yeah, it's just right out this back door. I'll walk out here and I'll show you." I said, "Okay, that's great." So we were out there, and she was showing it to me, and she had set up her phone so that I could speak with her and see the back of the garden. And we had spoken earlier about red cardinals, and I've never seen one. I had never seen one, and it was the craziest thing because this little red cardinal came and flew right behind her shoulder and sat there for the entire reading. And that was just amazing. Like, that was one of the most beautiful forms of validation I've ever seen. I was blown away. I was like, "Oh my God, there's a cardinal." Like,
right. Right.
So even for me, it was just so beautiful.
Yeah, no, and that helps also for them. That helps them definitely understand that it is possible. And then you start seeing their eyes light up because it's starting to give them that ray of hope and everything.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but it is very fun to be able to see the sign that's coming.
Yes.
Especially when it's something that's very different, right? And very, like you were saying, very specific. And I've had it, and you know how this goes, Valentina, but sometimes I'll get off the reading and within minutes, they're messaging me back with it.
Yes.
Sometimes it's days, sometimes it's weeks.
Exactly.
But I always find it super, super amazing when that happens. I love it.
Yeah. No, I always tell them, update me when you get the sign,
Yeah.
And then they're like, "Oh my God." And then like, "Oh," and then I'm even like, "Oh my God." Like, because I even like you said, sometimes I get a text an hour later. I'm like, "Geez, that was quick," because I tell people, be patient. It might not happen right away. They're gonna do it when they're ready. But what, an hour later, and I'm like, "Oh my God." I'm like, high-fiving the spade up there. Yay, thank you. It's great. I love that. I mean, that's where that high comes from that I was talking about. Is that sometimes when things like that, you just can't help but be energized by the whole everything of it.
Absolutely.
Oh my God. It's hard to sleep, but I do because I'm tired. Because I'm wiped out.
We might do it with a notepad, right?
Yes. Here's me sleeping.
Hey, Valentina, I know you already answered this question, but this is my coworker, Helen, and she came in a little late. You can just get a little quick answer to her question again. She says, "Hi, ladies. Valentina, when did you know you had your gifts?" She came in a little late.
Yeah, so it was about so I had a traumatic brain injury when I was 23. We're not going to get into how old I am, but it's old. So it took several decades before I really accepted it. I actually filled in, I still have the notebook. I just start writing every time something came true that I predicted, and soon the book started filling up, and that's when I realized, okay, how and why and how, you start, what is happening to me? Why am I getting all this information? What do I do with it? Because I really didn't, I pushed it away for a long time, but I kept that book just to see, because it was just so shocking, all the stuff I was predicting. But I wasn't ready for it. And, they say that, that the teacher appears when the student is ready. And so when I finally was ready, then it just started really flooding. When you are open and ready, then, oh my gosh, it just really pours in. So it's been, over 30 years now. So
Howard.
Howard. Oh, Howard.
I'm going to be with him tomorrow night on his show. They're fun.
How fun. Hey.
And hi, Bethany.
Hello,
How are you?
Bethany.
Hi, Bethany. So cute. So I realized I never signed in or logged in. So I'm not even able to. I'm trying to click to comment to people, and I can't even do that. So I'm so sorry.
Oh, you can believe we can tell them.
Yeah, I'm just verbalizing it.
There you go.
Look at all these wonderful people.
So do you ever do you do any more paranormal investigating now, or just something you kind of put on the back burner unless something that connected with you came across, or an opportunity?
Well, losing my team obviously makes it very hard to.
Yes.
Right.
I actually I belong to a Sea First Paranormal out of Tampa. The only problem is that everyone is almost an hour from me, and they all live together. I'm the only one an hour apart, so I do get called on cases, and then I walk the room first, and then I leave. As far as paranormal equipment and doing investigations, I pulled out my bag. Everything has corroded. I'm like, has it been that long? What happened? Like everything, the batteries are dead. I mean, that's a given, but everything is rusty, literally. And I'm just like, God, do I throw it away? Do I get new equipment? Do I even need it? It's that weird defining moment where I'm like, I really miss those days, but I don't know where to go. I mean, I've been to St. Augustine twice since obviously moving here, and that was relatively quiet as well. I really prefer very, very active places. So I need to make a trip over to Kentucky to that asylum or West Virginia, Penhurst, anything where I can be guaranteed some stuff because
Dumas. Yeah.
I hate being disappointed. I really do.
And when you do a lot of it back to back, you're just like going through the motions at that point. Like, when did this not? I need to be stimulated. I want that. I want to be scared. I want to not be scared, but I want my skin to just stand on end. I want that peach fuzz down my back to just kind of go at that point. You know what I mean? When you're getting triggered energy, and then you get that, energy we talked earlier where you're just bouncing off the wall and everything's happening. Yes.
See, you know what I mean. I don't want to just have a stakeout like I'm a policeman sitting in a car like this for, that's what that feels like when nothing happens. You're on a stakeout.
You're so right. I'm like, no. No disrespect to other teams, because everybody has their own way and their own style of investigating, connecting, however they do it. But I'm not one of those just going to sit there and wait real quietly. I think they want to interact. A lot of times when things are quiet, you just start doing your own thing. They're like, hey, we're over here. But I've been around some teams that are just like, they wanted to get real serious and everybody quiet the whole night. And I'm just like, this is boring.
Right.
I didn't come to listen to see if they say anything. I came here to interact with them.
Exactly. That's the thing. Well, and I've been watching, I really love watching Slapped Ham and, Paranormal Caught on TV. And I'm just like sitting here, and all these people have cameras everywhere in their house, which I understand. But chandeliers are swinging, cupboards are opening, dogs are flying across the room. I'm like, why does this never happen at my house? Who are these people, and why do they get all the attention? Like really? I mean, just nothing ever happens, and I should, of all people, should have things happening at my house. So now I'm starting to think that they're all faking it, because clearly all these people cannot have poltergeists happening in cupboards, and it's just crazy. Like nothing ever happens at my house.
You just have the boundaries so high about what is allowed to come and interact with you in your home.
That's true. I mean, but even when I also do house cleansings for people, and I'm like, oh, good, something's going to happen here for sure. Something's going to jump out, and it's super quiet there too. And so it's just, I don't know. I need to go to some of these people on TV's houses and really check it out and see if anything happens. Let me stay overnight. Let me sleep in your kitchen. Let me just make sure.
Let's see. Where'd Shannon go?
She ran off.
She did. Hello, Eileen. So do you have anything? We've got a few minutes left. So
okay.
Can you tell us where to find you, first of all?
Yes. On the internet and I can't even speak. This is how you know I've been working all day. The words just don't. I need hooked on phonics. On the internet, you can either I know you guys are my friend on Facebook. You can look there. You can Google the Danish Medium. I'm pretty searchable. I show up on the front page of Google. Valentina, psychic medium, or you'll find me. Danish Medium. Just put Danish or Denmark and Valentina together, and you'll find me. Some combo words there. You'll find me.
Do you do any traveling and do any like galleries or anything like that?
Not yet. I'm restructuring my business because, yeah, I am trying to do what I call micro tours. So if anybody
Yeah.
wants me to come to their town, please contact me. I would love to, even team up or something like that. I'm fine with that, because honestly, after 9 years, I can't take sitting in the corner of my house anymore. I never leave. I really want to get out and do more, or conventions, or if anyone wants me as a speaker. I'm open to that. I definitely need to get out. Somebody really quick, Joanne said, when you walk into stores, do you get messages at random? Honestly, I've gotten really good at mastering a switch, so I'm able to turn everything off and focus on cucumbers and whatever I'm doing at the store.
And I feel like we have to do that, right? If we didn't learn how to manage that, because I know before I learned how to manage that, it was just, I thought I was going to go crazy.
Exactly.
So you have to learn how to manage it, right? And so we can focus on the grocery shopping or whatever it is.
Yeah, because we exist as well, we exist as well. And we need our life back at the end of the day, or most of the day also. So, we are able to shut it off.
Yeah, absolutely, Joanne.
Yes, very exhausting. I would
definitely
sleeping all the time.
100%.
I know we're out of time. I'm so sad. I had so much.
We'll have you come back on.
Yes.
I would love that.
Oh, I had a blast with you guys. This was so fun. And by then I will learn how to sign up. I actually literally at some point I thought, well, what if I click sign up for free? I hope I don't exit out of this. And I was able to stay on, but then they were supposed to send me a 6-digit code that they never did. So I'm still trying to figure out how to comment. Show's over if he's still sitting here trying to
figure it out.
Oh,
I'm gonna get that figured out for you too. Sorry about that, but thank you again for coming on.
Thank
Your energy is just so pleasant.
Thank
fun.
you.
And thank you guys for in the chat. And like I said, that
yes, everyone that listened, thank you.
I'm going to be going to Florida soon too.
Oh, you call me
to Tallahassee area, Monticello, Tallahassee area. So
that's far. Okay, maybe you could fly into Tampa and drive to Tallahassee or something like that. We'll figure it out.
True. Absolutely. We can meet in there's plenty of things to do in Florida. So
yes, we'll go on a hunt.
Just go to Destin and spend some time on the Emerald Coast for a couple days. All right. Well, thank you so much, and definitely have you on again. And I appreciate you. And
good night.
Love you guys.
Bye.
How do I exit out?
I got you. Okay, so guys, we're doing a little different tonight. She was awesome. She's just she's so good. Yeah, and so we're gonna end the show with the exit there, and then we're gonna go into our next guest because this was a back-to-back. We kind of like played with how we should do this, and we just figured out would be the best just to keep it continuous instead of having 2 different streams. So, so we will be right back here in a second, guys, with our new guest. You know how I am with queuing things up, so don't.
I know. Cue it up.
I did it right.
Love again. You did awesome.
Isn't that funny that I should like applaud myself for queuing up this video? All right, guys, welcome back. This is show number 2 on our back-to-back special. Thank you guys that were there when Valentina was with us. And now
Shannon doesn't know how to say your name. I'm probably going to butcher it too. I probably really am. But I'm super excited about this next guest. I'm going to say it the best I can, and he can correct us when he comes on. I just call him Swami because his first name, I believe, Bhaktimarga. I don't even know if I'm saying it right. The walking monk. He is from Canada. And so you guys, he has this book, The Saffron Path. And I've been reading this. I'm kind of embarrassed to say I didn't get all the way through it. But I have some places marked. So we're going to bring him on and let him talk about that. Let him talk about his trek across the globe and just about himself. So bring him on, Shannon, because I'm super excited.
I am. And before I do that, I'm going to tell you, I can see him backstage and his smile.
I know.
That energy is great.
I'm telling you. So
you can feel that. That's awesome.
Yes, you can feel his energy, right?
No.
So bring him on. Hello.
Hi. How are you?
I'm doing just fantastic. Thank you for having me on board.
Thank you for being with us.
So I have to apologize for the, you probably got inundated today with emails with the link because my email is hanging up and I wanted to make sure you had it. So we sent it probably a total of 5 times, but you're here. So one of them worked, right?
Whatever you did, it worked.
It worked.
Yeah.
So I just want to say it's so good to see you again. I'm so happy to see you again. I did get to meet you. It's been, 6 years. It's been a while, right?
Yeah, it's been 5. It was in 2017.
Yeah.
In the summertime.
Yes, so 5 years. I was thinking it had been 6 years. But I did get to meet you, and I know that I told you this once before, but I feel like it bears repeating. I was going through a really rough time in my life, you guys, when I met Swami. Is it okay if I just call you Swami?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I don't just butcher the name.
Yeah, no, it's great.
When I met him on his trek across the globe, he was walking through the town that I live in. And I was working as a DJ at a radio station. And so I had the great honor and privilege of being able to speak with you, to meet you, to speak with you, to interview you on air. And Shannon was talking about your energy, right? And just being in your energy, it helped heal me. And so I feel like it's important that you know that.
Wow.
So we didn't talk about that, but it just was beautiful.
Well, thank you very much. I can't take much credit. I should just, I'm like a conduit or like a medium to, let that energy flow through somehow. Thank you.
She was very excited. She's like, I'm sending an email out. And this was like
I know.
She's like, I really, really, really want him on the show. He made an impact in my life. And I'm like going, you're getting me like all hyped up. Like, yes. And then I saw your face backstage. I'm like, he's so, energy's good.
So, do you want to talk to us about your trek? Talk to us about how you started this journey and why you started this journey and the purpose behind it.
Yeah, I first of all started in 96. That's when I started the marathon walking. And that was in Canada. I did it 4 times. And I did a few other smaller countries like Ireland, Israel, Guyana, Trinidad, Mauritius, the Fiji Islands. I might have missed a couple of there right now. The list just goes on. But, I had to do the U.S. I had to see all my friends, what I call south of the border, and experience that, When I went through your part of the country, I'd never seen anything like that. The unique rock formations, a kind of a desert that I'd never been through before. Frankly, I was in Israel, and I did walk through a portion of it. I went to the Dead Sea, where everything is kind of dead. and for a Swami or like a monk, being in the desert is kind of natural because you can't get caught up in any trappings. There's nothing to, to get enticed by, So I just thought it was a unique kind of a landscape where you are. And that was part of the beauty of it all, seeing the different terrains. And, I was a little bit of a movie buff before I became a monk, which was 50 years ago now. And I went through the place called Stagecoach. It's in Nevada, where they did the filming of The Misfits with Clark Gable and Marilyn Monroe, and it was so nice to see all that. Oh, it really happened here. Wild horses and all this stuff, It was great. Yes. Well, so I started to walk, and it's kind of started when I was quite young. It's in the book there that I wrote about going to school every day, kind of a long mile, you could say, and then a long mile back for a 5-year-old kid. And, I used to just wonder about life and what's its purpose and goal. And I thought that through walking, I was experiencing a lot of time for contemplation and introspection. Of course, I wouldn't know what those words meant, but I understand what they are now. And it was downtime for me. It wasn't with kids in the schoolyard or squabbling with the siblings at home. It was just a real reflective time. And so I wanted to experience that again. And that's when I started the marathon walks in Canada and some of these other countries. I found it was really conducive to my lifestyle, which is, if you want to brand it, simple living, high thinking. And I think it's good for everybody, really, whether you're a monastic person or not. Everyone should use their bodies what they're meant for and go for just that introspection, which we need to do. I would call it sort of a work in, like everybody likes to work out these days, go to the gym. But why don't we spend some time on the work in portion of our life, work on your inner side, addressing the demons within. And so that's what the walking affords, And so I really became an addict towards walking. And of course, I have to pay the price a little bit too. I had my knees replaced since I saw you last, Jennifer. I had the right knee replaced, so bionic knee, and the year before. And, my old knees are somewhere in the garbage. And I'm just working with a new facility.
Yeah, but isn't it a blessing that we can do that, right? That we have the medical professionals to do that.
Yes, yeah.
So I was reading through your book, and there's a couple of chapters in here I marked, because what I really loved about this book was that each chapter kind of had its own little message within it.
Right.
And
Right.
so chapter 4, you talk about finding our way through, right? You talk about having your vision and wanting to do this walk, and other people chiming in about the way that you should do it, and that you didn't even really have a full plan. You just started out. And as you went along your journey, it came together.
Right.
I love that. Can you talk to us about that a little bit?
Well, whenever you're undergoing a kind of a project, you're dealing with adventure, you're dealing with the unknown and uncertainties. And that's really, I think, what adventure is all about. Not quite sure what's around the corner, but being ready for anything. And that's what's kind of exciting about being out of doors, as opposed to being in a vehicle and being very, let's say, precise about your routine. Here was a little bit more like real freedom. And even though I was mostly on a road, sometimes I'd find trails and be away from the public. But my intent was to be with the public. I really want to connect with everybody. I'm a Libran, so you just have to have people around you. You might have downtime, but you definitely need to have people with you. So that's what I did. And whatever you're not aware of, you will become aware. Like, I'll tell you one of the biggest hurdles, and it's in the book. It's walking on that slanted slope, what I call the terrible tilt, or TT. uh, the shoulder of the road, which is on an angle, and you don't anticipate this is going to be a challenge, but it does a number on your skeleton, and so you find that out. So then, okay, your rationale is, I'll go to the other side. I'll spend some time on the other side, but it never really comes together. That part doesn't come together, Jennifer and Shannon. It's the toughest part of the whole thing, I would say. And you wear down your cartilage. That's what you do. But I would say it was all worth it. And I would say I'm not done. When I that I will do some other walks, maybe in sections, if it's like a long journey, or just choose a few more small countries like the Netherlands or something like that.
Smaller countries.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Did I read it correctly that you walked across Canada like 3 times?
Yes, it was actually 4 times.
What?
And each time would be a different route. And would just so I could go to new towns and connect. I think the last time it was in the southern part, close to the American border, and I had tremendous success just in getting into schools and talking to the students about the value of getting away from your devices and just going out and feel incredible freedom, open up to the elements and things like that. Mind you, I had a support guy from Winnipeg, and he had a blue front Amazon parrot that talked. And so we were a real big hit when we came to town. There's a monk, there's a talking parrot, and a guy who looks like a pirate,
Walking through town.
Yeah, we were a sensation. Yeah, it was great.
That is awesome. Like when I'm in the car, and for years now, I don't listen to the radio because that's my Zen place. That's when honestly, it's my private time where nothing else matters. I almost am meditating while I'm driving, and I get into that state. I know where I'm going. I'm being safe. And so I can only imagine walking doing that. I might need to start doing some walking, to be honest with you. I think I would really enjoy it, just to get out and just have no destination and just walk.
Yeah, well, you know what I found really interesting about walking? Time almost it has no beginning, no end. Mm-hmm. Like if you're going to go on a trip in a car, it can be very burdensome. You know what I mean? The length of the journey, sometimes the weather conditions are such, it's very challenging. But when you're walking, you're going at a natural pace where you are almost like in a timeless zone. Yeah. And I've had friends, they've driven across the US and Canada. They said, "You did all of that? I couldn't believe it." But I'd say like 20 to 25 miles a day, or what we call kilometers up north. I was doing 42, which is a marathon run, actually, according to the Athenian Olympics. Wow. It's the day it speeds by, and it's really not a problem. The day gets mixed with people pulling over, they're curious, they offer you rides. Of course, you have to decline. You see wildlife, you see bison, the odd, grizzly. I mean, I've had encounters with grizzlies and stuff as well. And it's all quite wonderful, an adventure, as I put it to you before.
Yeah, you talked about where you were going really wasn't the focus, but it was the journey itself, right? It was right. It was just being in the moment, because I mean, if you're walking cross country, you really don't have a choice, right? But to be in that moment.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. Really I had one reporter came to me that was in the East End of Canada. She was with the CBC, Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. And she came with her tape recorder, if you remember those old relics. And yes. Because that was back in 96. And she asked me all the right questions. And then when it came to the end, she asked, "So now that you're almost finished the walk," that was the first one, what was the highlight of your journey? And I really kind of went blank. I didn't know what to say because it was all full of color. Everything was rich and full of depth and wonder. And I really had to. She stunned me a bit. And but then it came to mind. I said, I know the greatest thing that happened on this walk. That's you standing before me and asking this question. And I'm not quite sure how to answer it, but this is the greatest moment. so, so it is like living for the moment, being very much in the present, because that's what makes a difference for the future. When you're walking, and I'm sure even if you're not walking long distances, for both of you and the world at large, every day we step into the past, every day we step into the future, and every day we're kind of attentive to our details. You can't separate them almost. The past is what's molded you as you are now, and what you do now will be the blueprint for the future.
Mm-hmm.
So I've sort of given a little time to figure out how much time I'm giving to each of the three phases, and I give it it's up in threes, to be honest with you. And but I would say what's most important is to be very cognizant at the moment of where you are now, because that will determine your future.
Absolutely.
Not to mention the seeds that you planted on your journeys of inspiration into other people. We can't forget about that, though. I mean,
no.
Yes. Yeah.
yeah,
That's right. I think the greatest moments come from when you're meeting the different folks along the way, and there are characters out there, and there's people who want to preach to me, about taking another faith, and you've also got people who are propositioning you, that's both women and men, that happens too.
oh wow.
And I got to understand that people are quite lonely out there in the world, and I wish they could find their lover, the universe, somewhere down the road. But I guess people are desperate in different ways. Yeah, loneliness is a big issue, and when people pull over and they stop, whether they're offering a ride or they just want to chat a little bit, I always try to get into the framework of, well, how are things doing in your life, your family, your partnership, and so on like that. And then you do kind of like open up a can of worms, or you just talk about a topic that means a lot to them. And people are struggling in their relationships.
A lot of disconnect. A lot of disconnect in this world right now.
Yeah, exactly. And we have this sort of magic world that our tradition we very much adhere to. Listen, don't worry about that so much. Stick to your dharma, which means to focus on obligation, duty, responsibility, and love it. And then everything will just kind of gel and come together. And so that's my message to a lot of these folks. And yeah, it's great. I'm just looking forward to maybe doing more of this. And if not, I'll get a new body and I'll do it all over again. I'll start younger. Next life,
Okay, we're done. Yeah.
So you were talking in your book about highway bullies. So you met a lot of wonderful, beautiful people, but there were also some people along the way that weren't so nice. And so I'm just curious, like you just continued on your journey and how you handled that, how you chose to deal with that. Can you talk to us about that? Because
yeah, sure.
A lot of us meet people like that on their journeys.
I would say of the highway bullies that I met in both Canada and the US, it's very minuscule. The number is very small. But when they did arise, I was a little turbulent within in the beginning. And then I realized, well, I shouldn't be disturbed by myself if they insulted me in some way, shape, or form. But I felt, well, they're the insecure ones. So I would just transition my self-compassion to them, whoever they may be. And such persons are usually they've got a coward edge to them. They don't spend long enough time to even introduce themselves. And so again, there's a lot of insecurity out there, and So how I dealt with it was just to look at it from that perspective. I hope they do better. And if I see them on the road again, I hope it'll be a different scenario and maybe they'll pull over and we could actually kind of like fist bump and make friends.
You can't
Yeah.
control someone's actions or behaviors, but you can control the one thing, which is how you respond to it and how you react to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that, I was talking to you about the word dharma. Well, there's another word that rhymes with it, and it's karma. Karma means action and subsequent reaction. So that's what you see that transpires on the road in your travels. How are people reacting? And many of them are super favorable. A lot of people are indifferent. They don't know what to think. They turn their heads and what was that? And some of them conclude, well, I'm sort of a moving traffic cone or something. But in general, people are quite nice. But as far as the highway bullies go, they exist all across the board in all countries, and it just means they're self-agitated, and there's no need for it to be that way. And it would be nice to just see them again and take a different approach, So
Yeah.
I didn't take it personally. It was like, turn the other cheek kind of mood in your mind. But I must admit to both of you that when I first got these responses from people, I thought, next time when it happens, I'm going to, tell them to come back, turn around, and I'll just let's meet, let's talk.
You're gonna call them out.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So that did happen, and there's a couple of guys that came from a garage. I think they were mechanics, and so I did just that. I made those gestures, and they made a U-turn, and they came back because they shouted something what seemed obscene to me, and they came over. So what's going on? They said, "What's up? What's up? What's up?" I said, "Well, you guys just shouted at me." I said, "Well, we just say hello." So false alarm.
You do have to be on guard, though, really, because you don't know what's going to happen next and what kind of person you're encountering. And,
Yes.
when people are negative, it's just like it has nothing to do with you. It's their journey they're on. And
Yes.
yeah, but you still have to be cautious because, especially on the road like that, is someone you don't know how they're going to behave or react or what's going on in their personal life or they have mental issues or what.
Yeah. Well, you do have to go out there with a little bit of self-confidence, And when I'm walking, I carry with me my meditational beads. So I make use of them along the way. So it gives you a certain inner strength. And but I would just say, I met a lot more fantastic people who are willing to take some juice or give some juice, if you understand what I'm saying. and no, I meant like even real carton of juice out of kindness, and it's so that gives you a certain built-in confidence. To be honest with you, I think people get harmed more by being in traffic or even in the workplace or where you live, more so than when you're kind of like a wandering mendicant,
Yeah.
And I can't think of a safer way to travel, honestly, than walking. So that's my experience, and I had the good fortune to walk a stretch of the famous Camino, which is probably the most popular walking spot in the world through Spain. The Camino de Compostela. You meet a lot of people who've been on there, done sections of it, and well, we got parts in the U.S. and Canada that are, equally beautiful. And, I tried to stay as much as possible on Highway 80, which was the old Lincoln Highway. That was the first road built in the world. It's named after Lincoln, so he was everyone's favorite president. So I thought, let's go on the safe road. But I had to do quite a bit of jumping, and I always had a support person with me to check on me once in a while. see if I'm still alive. and we found some areas to be very unpleasant in different ways. Traffic was super thick, or you just want to get into the shade somewhere, a place to relieve your feet. And so we'd have to go to a sort of like a parallel road. And these are kind of the logistics you work out when you're out there that you don't anticipate are going to happen. But that's really all part of the adventure. You have to learn to take turns here and there.
And so are you camping along the way then?
Yeah, what happened is, one of the differences between the US and Canada is that in Canada, we did a lot of camping. And because the population is more sparse, so we ended up setting up a tent and staying in there. And at least I would stay in the tent, and my buddy who had the talking bird would oftentimes stay in the car to keep it a little warm. But, when it came to the US, it was kind of magical because, we have a lot of affiliation with people of the Southeast Asian community. And they own about 80% of the motels in the US. So when they hear that a monk is coming to town, they say, "Oh yes, Swamiji, please come and stay with us, and we will cook for you too."
Perfect.
Because like we're on a vegetarian diet, and mostly it's people from the state of Gujarat that run these motels, or what looked like they were going to be has-beens, but they kind of pick it up and make it work. They keep some of these businesses alive because they've got that knack. And so I never had to camp outside once in the US during my whole trip.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice. Good. Okay, so in your book you had something I want to talk about. You had a little ghost story in there.
Yes, everyone's intrigued by ghosts. Yeah. So yeah, when I was at the tail end of my first walk, and that was in Canada, we took the ferry from Sydney, that's in Nova Scotia, to Newfoundland. And it was always favorable to just lie on the floor and get your rest there. How do you sleep in a chair? So everyone was doing that, all the passengers. And my support guy, the UK guy, his name was Madai was his name. And he was starting not snoring, but he was just trying to eke out some words. And it was a little embarrassing for the people around. But we had determined that it was a disembodied spirit that was holding him down and not allowing him to say what he wanted to say, and actually was just asking for help. I've met quite a few people over the years who, when you're among people, come to you with their things, And so it happened again the next night where we were on the Newfoundland and the island itself. And it looks like he came into our vehicle because we were in the boat, the ferry, and now this disembodied spirit came in doing the same thing. And I was chanting mantras, trying to get his attention. And finally, he sort of broke out of it like in a cold sweat. And he said he was just trying to call my name and get relief. It was like he described like a cold front coming and holding him down with pressure. And he just wanted to be free and get up and go, but he wasn't. He was pinned down, you could say. So we chanted some mantras, and finally that ghost didn't follow us from then on. I guess he just went his own way, trying to pick on somebody his own size.
Just chanted him away.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
So you said you had been a monk for 50 years.
That's right.
What inspired that?
That was my question. Good job.
Well, so the way it worked in my life, I was raised in the countryside in southwestern Ontario. It's a historically rich place where Chief Tecumseh, I don't know if you know about your Indigenous warriors, but that's where he got killed. There was a time when the U.S. and Canada were at war with each other, and a lot of the let's say trouble happened in the southern part of Canada on the eastern side. Yeah. And also this place where the reverend who came up from Kentucky came into Canada, and he was giving refuge to the slaves from the South. They were coming in. People considered Canada was a safe haven at that time. So I come from that particular area, and I'm just mentioning these things because the road that I walked on to go to school was named after Tecumseh the warrior. And just like a day's walk from where I live, that's where the I'm sorry. Okay, sorry about that.
Okay.
No, you're okay.
Okay, sorry about that. Someone's
Oh, you're
trying to call
good.
in. And so I was raised as a pious Catholic. And I used to go to Mass before I went to school every day. So I just did that of my own volition. So I always had that spiritual proclivity. It wasn't imposed on me. It just came. It was like a feature from your previous life. So I never felt very comfortable in the secular setting, to be honest with you. And I always felt very much at home where there was a spiritual vibe. And so when I met monks from the Krishna order, I thought let me look at this. Let me look at the literature. Let me take some time. I made some adjustment with my diet. I got into the plant-based eating and stuff like that. And of course, at that time, the Beatles were dabbling with Indian mysticism, you know, and and especially George Harrison. He was getting to mantras. So, and in those days, we all loved the Beatles. They were our gods, you know, the music they were pumping out, and we adored them, you know. And then so when they went spiritual, or they were making their experimentations, it was something that many of us did at that time as well. So I just put these things together, the Beatles, the mantras, the monks, and let me read a little bit about it. And then I felt sold on it. You know, I was walking one day for 9 miles back to my apartment, trying to hitch a ride. No one was stopping. And I just had this attitude, well, if nobody really cares to help a college student, then screw you. I just felt, never mind. I'll walk. I'll just do it by myself. I'm equipped.
On that walk, yeah.
Yeah, I'm equipped. And so during that 9-mile stretch, I contemplated deeply on what I should be doing. I was a fine arts student and I was doing well in my studies, but it wasn't gratifying enough. I just, the calling was so great that I felt the need to go to an ashram that was going to be in Toronto. Let me try it out, see what it's like, see if it's a good fit. And so I went, I did it, and I think, yeah, I love these kind of people. And I love what they're all about and their purpose and their intent, which is to try to make the world a better place. So then I pretty much took a train, told my folks what I was up to, and they weren't overly excited about, exhilarated about it. But you know, especially when it wasn't their faith, right? So I stuck by it, and over the years, my parents got to accept it. They saw that I was happy. That a lot of my peers weren't happy, and I was. And there's all kinds of issues of self-abuse or broken marriages, whatever the case may be, and they saw that I was doing okay. So, and I told them, hey, I'm still a Catholic. And you know, people of different faith groups, they ask that question sometimes. They say, well, you can actually do both at the same time. You can have like Jesus and Krishna in the same closet or something like that. And I said, well, yes, absolutely. Why not? Because there are parallels here, you know? There are parallels. Like I oftentimes get mistaken for being a Buddhist monk, which I'm not. But because there's the same look, same colors, probably the same smell. We probably use the same incense and the same kind of language.
I probably have some right over there too.
Yeah, right.
Around here too.
Yeah. And same kind of language, which is Sanskrit. I remember, Jennifer, in the studio there, you were saying Sanskrit. You said my name perfectly. And I don't know if you remember the instance, but I asked you, what kind of music do you play on the station? You said, we play pop music. And I said, pop in Sanskrit means sin. And then you played up on that. You told everyone, that's why we have the monk here, to deal with our sins.
I was laughing so hard because you actually wrote about this in this book. You wrote about that. And when I came across that, I was giggling because I had forgotten about that. And I was like, oh, I'm so embarrassed. Did I say that on air with the Swami?
No, I would say, Jennifer, that was the perfect remark you said. And you actually took it so well, that I didn't come across like some kind of heavy duty preacher man, fire and brimstone. You took it so well.
No, that was really a fun interview. That was so fun to have you up in the studio. That was interesting. But yes, you did tell me that you had mentioned that in this book. So when I was reading it, I came across that. I was just laughing. In fact, I sent it to Shannon, and I was like, "This is just cracking me up." Did I really say that too?
Yeah, and I think I mentioned too. As soon as I finished the interview with you, I just went on the street level, and because it was during the day that we did the interview, and immediately people are honking. So they were definitely listening to the Station of Sin music.
Station of Sin.
Right.
Like, there he is.
I even had one woman. She was working at a restaurant, and where they have these kind of delicacies. I can't remember. It was kind of on the salty side, but she came running after me with her apron on the street, on the highway, and just as I was leaving town, and she said, "I just heard your interview. Oh, it was so wonderful, and here I just want to give you these from the restaurant." So. Your interview bore fruit, and let's put it that way. We got some good responses. Yes, we did.
Got some bread out of it, or some salty things, whatever they were.
Yes, yeah, that's right. That's right. And there's one thing that happened down the road. I think it was, in Utah. It was a territory where Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid hung out, and. I just remember that going through that area. And there was one fellow near what I call a ghost town. You asked me about ghosts. You have ghost towns down there. You know that, right?
Yes, we do. We have a lot.
Especially after COVID, yeah.
Oh, yes. I guess,
a lot of small towns have had to shut down all their businesses because they couldn't make it.
Wow. Well, I'm talking about some of those places that actually... They were doing mining, and they took everything out, and then they just got it closed up. Yeah, so this one fellow, he pulled over, he had a pickup, and he came over and he said, "I heard what you're doing, and I was wondering if I could just take you to my place so we could talk." And I said, "Well, I can't really leave the road. My support guy's looking out for me, and I really don't have the time." So he said, "Well, this is my home." So he pointed to his pickup truck, said, "This is my couch." He pulled down the tailgate. Said, "Can we just talk?" So we talked, and the guy, he's a full-grown man, and he just broke out into tears. And it was all about, why do we have to go through so much suffering? Why is there so much pain in this world? And so I think he represents a lot of people. And it was hard for me to hear that and see what he was going through, but trying to be detached in my disposition, I would just try to comfort him the best I could. And I was glad that I was there at that time when, like in this case, he needed someone to talk to.
Yeah, absolutely.
People bottle up. They don't want to so easily come out and say what's going on in their lives. They're shy about it. And But there's a lot of pain. And personally for me, because I'm a monk, I can say this, people really need the spiritual component in their life, just to learn how to cope a little better and to give you a sense of hope, because
Yes.
when you can cope, then there's some hope.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's a lot to be said about people kind of shunning or walking away from the sort of traditional faiths. But if you don't replace it with something of the same, a similar kind of nature, you're really kind of setting yourself up for some trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Some trauma. And that's one of the reasons why I'm out there. I like to be with the folks. I really want to hear what they have to say. And if I can offer prayers or whatever, which is a request along the road as well, then I'm happy to do just that,
Yeah. You were talking in your book about, and this is what just brought this to me, because you were talking about this gentleman that you spoke to in his truck, about everyday miracles.
Right.
Yes. About how many things that we overlook that are really just these beautiful, beautiful blessings. Mm-hmm. And I think every one of those, especially to him.
Right. Yes. Yeah. I would say that that's a really important element to embrace in life, is to try to register the little blessings that come or miracles that happen throughout the day. Miracles don't have to be of a great proportion, like the dividing of the Red Sea or something like that. Right. It doesn't have to be anything like that. Or Noah's Ark or something like that. It's really more about the little things that add up to an astronomical level elevation point, where it is almost a big mountain, not a mountain, but a mountain range. And like in the cases, like I was in Hawaii, that was one of the states I walked through. And I was walking for several hours, a little bit thirsty, wanting something. And I came upon this guava tree, and I saw all the guavas down on the ground, ants all over the place. So I thought, gee, I wish I could have one of those right now. I'm in the middle of nowhere, and I'm pretty far away from a pineapple field. And even if I found a pineapple, how can I open that thing up, right? So I just looked up at one guy up above and said, it would be so nice. So instantly, he came down, hit the grass, rolled down right by my foot, said, okay, all right, I get it. That was meant for me. Yeah. And I needed it at that time. And so it's little things like that, well, I don't want to call it coincidence, really. When it happens too frequently, you have to say and believe that there is some, greater hand behind all of these, dealings that happen through the course of the day. So that is important. And again, it's those little miracles that stack up that you register that give you a certain inner strength. And that's really what we kind of need nowadays. Mm-hmm. Like anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we go about our days sometimes just overlooking those small little miracles, or I call them signs, we just kind of go about blindly. And so that's part of what, like when you're talking about just being in the moment, just recognizing those for what they are and being like so grateful for them. That's been really one of my big goals this year. And I'm actually kind of tracking it, I'm writing it down. I'm writing down all of those little everyday miracles.
What I used to do, and I want to get back into doing it again, is I used to wake up and before I even got out of my bed, I would think of 10, 20 just random different things in that same bedroom every morning that I was grateful for. Man, I am grateful that my sheets were washed and still smell like fabric softener. I'm grateful that I had the blinds the other way, and just little things. I'm grateful that I heard my alarm in the morning and I get to start a day great. If you start your morning off with gratitude, it'll attract that like energy.
Right. Yes.
That emotion, that your intent for the day.
Yeah, exactly. One thing that I observe during these long walks too, it's I'm observing the three energies. Like our main book is called Bhagavad Gita. It's the ultimate book in yoga, And there's three energies that are clearly outlined. And it's been very helpful for me, not just to study the three energies, but to see it in action. And those three energies are sattva, rajas, and tamas. They're all Sanskrit words, which means translates as thoughtfulness or being there for the moment. The next one is rajas, very much in passion or restlessness. And the third one is, ignorance, to be slothful and sort of self-destructive and lethargic. And those three energies impact everybody all the time at different times of the day. And when you're in the state of thoughtfulness, or what we call sattva gun, it just allows you to be more perceptive, to plan more, and take care in what you're going to say or the way you're going to behave. I found that you were talking about tracking, Jennifer. Well,
yeah.
The only reason why I have notes for this book is because I write a blog every day, or I journal every day, and that's where you can put your little miracles in there.
Yeah.
And I highly recommend it because it puts a real nice closure to that day, so you start fresh with the next day.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Otherwise, the past can be quite a haze,
Mm-hmm.
and it's nice to give definition to each day.
Right.
I have a request for you, and it's totally okay if you say no.
No problem.
But I'm wondering, would you chant for us? I just love it when you speak in that Sanskrit, and I don't know if you could do a little chant for us and let us feel that.
Okay, sure. I can offer you like maybe 4 chants. If that's okay. All right, so I'll start. The first one is to honor the teacher, which is you were talking about gratitude when you get up in the morning. So you offer gratitude to your teacher. The next one is the universe in 5 features, and the next one is the last one is honoring the male and female aspects of God. So here it goes. Okay. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Here's the third one. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Finally, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai.
It's beautiful. It does. It just gives me all the feels, and I love it. So thank you for doing that for us.
Yes. Well, thank you. They're mantras which are protective, and as much as they may be soothing, and we need all the protection we can get.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. Can you tell us where we can find you, where viewers can find you?
Yes, I mean, I should have maybe got this ready for you before,
okay.
But my name, people can reach me by email. I don't know, I don't know if I'd spell it out for you, but would that be worthy?
I'll type it in.
Absolutely.
You want to try it out? So that's B as in Bob, HAKTIMARGASWAMI@gmail.com. So that's Bhaktimarga Swami, all one word. And I really don't mind if anybody wants to call me. Yeah, and that's 647-530-4273.
I don't know, man. I might be like,
hey,
buddy, I just had this really spiritual moment and I want to share it with you. Because I do that. I get those moments and I'm like, man, I wish I had someone to share this with.
Yes, right. Yeah. Good.
And then your books are available on Amazon, right?
That's right. They're available on Amazon, and Amazon's quite wonderful. I was recently near the Amazon. I just came from Guyana and Suriname, and I was just down that way. Careful about those piranhas, you know. But yeah, so the book is available, and it's a really easy read, and it just highlights the different walks that I went through, and different parts of the world. And you know, the chapters are short; they're thematic, and I think it's just an easy. And I put some poetry in there when I felt the urge to be a little bit musical and rhythmic. And I think the book really inspires a lot of people. They got to know what I'm all about and our tradition, and what it means to be like a monk, because monks retain a kind of mystique for a lot of people. They don't know too much about it, but like we have programs here where I live, like monk for a weekend or nun for a weekend, whatever we're going to call it. And yeah, yeah. We have like a 3-month period called Bhakti Academy, and that's for those who just want to go through the experience. And at the same time, you can also go to school and have a part-time job and everything like that. So it's a great program that works out really well.
Silly question. I've always associated monk with just peace and love and energy and stuff, but because I really don't know, and a lot of there's no female monks, right?
Yes, we do have single women who follow the tradition. Yeah, and you know, the particular program that we introduced here in Toronto recently, it's fashioned after what we call the Krishna House or Bhakti Academy in Gainesville, in Florida. One of you were mentioning, I think you're going to Florida soon. So if you're up to it, you can.
I'll be close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can try that out there. Yeah.
Interesting. And so what do you do when you're not walking?
When I'm not walking, I'm doing a lot of traveling, sometimes by plane. And I get invited to a lot of festivals around the world on different continents. They're of a bhakti orientation. That means spiritual fests. And I get invited to work with their local youths, and we put on dramatical presentations based on the epics from India, like the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. They're all like morality stories, you know, like what you might find in the Mormon tradition or something like that. But it's yeah, beautiful stuff. And so I get invited. They pay for my ticket to go there, and that's one of the things I do apart from the walking. And
yeah, you were just in Trinidad, right?
That's right.
Yes, yeah. We were talking about that. We were going to have you on a couple of weeks ago, and you went to Trinidad. So I was just curious. I was like, I wonder what he does when he's not walking. You're just speaking to people and ministering to people, and
yeah, and I do lessons in Bhakti Yoga. So, you know, we'll look at the ancient book, the Bhagavad Gita. We'll go through several verses. We call them Gita chats, and we discuss them, what it means to get more spiritual, get more in touch with yourself, and just help people through their questions and that type of thing. So it's kind of what a minister might do, you know?
Yes.
Yeah. But you know what I like to do? I'm sort of a fun-loving kind of person. So wherever I go, then where's the beach? So let's go. And then everybody from the ashram comes together and the community, and we go. And you know, it's really important because people of spiritual communities don't always do that. They need to bond in ways different from just going to a community hall or a church hall. We need to just chill a bit, you know. Mm-hmm. And become very human while we're trying to be a little bit spiritual at the same time.
Yeah, that's the other thing that you were talking about in your book is the balance, right? The balance between the practical and the spiritual is learning that balance.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. Balance is a key word in our tradition, and for anybody, we need to apply that. Otherwise, there will be extremism in either ways. And like we were talking about, the 3 energies, the 3 gunas, balance yourself. Otherwise, yeah, you'll get hit hard, and you will be succumbed to some disease or malady, some irregularity. So it's good to plan and gain balance in eating and sleeping and recreation.
And I need to do that. I've found myself with my new job. I've turned into a hermit. I really have. I went from going down,
Really?
you
You're a
went
hermit.
going flying by the seat of my pants, and from in 3.5 weeks in 7 different cities from Montana to Florida. This was like every week. We go for years, and I just slowed down. I got a job working at home where I help people breathe again.
Yeah,
Help people, and I love it. But I haven't been out of my house, and like tomorrow will be. Well, Sunday will be 2 weeks. I haven't even walked the door. And so I have to get that balance back up, because I'm like, as much as I'm enjoying it and I'm grounding myself and I'm finding my peace and happiness and getting that squared away again, I'm like, okay, so I'm neglecting my need to communicate with other people and get out of interaction. So like I even called my mom and was like, look, we need to start doing something once a week schedule. So come over for dinner. I'm like, well, we can do that anyways, but let's do something different.
Yeah, I find those little miracles we were talking about, they happen most when you're outside of your own domain.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get out of the comfort zone. You got to just go for a walk. The walking does everything, You'll meet people. You see something extraordinary that happens. And it happens outside, not so much inside. That's my experience. So if you like miracles, open the door and get off your butt.
Outside, right? Be outside into, just.
I had to heal to be able to grow, and now I'm ready to get out there and grow.
Yes.
Time.
So it doesn't matter what time of the year, it's good to toughen up and go during the harsh winter. Even a storm can be a lot of fun, just going through that and the rigors of it. It humbles you, and you know how valuable humility is for just in life, It's the extreme opposite to arrogance. So arrogance is what destroys. Humility is what builds and helps you to grow and glow.
Right.
Absolutely. There was also one other thing I was wondering if you knew by heart. You wrote it in your book, but I don't know if you know it. It was the walking prayer.
Oh, yes.
A walking prayer. And so I thought that would be a really cool way to end.
Well, sure. I brought the book. I've got the book right in my hand here.
Okay, I do too. I'll read along with you.
Okay. All right.
I have to order one.
Okay, so we'll start 1, 2, 3. Dear Creator, I express my gratitude for the privilege to walk, to move about and make friends along the way, to feel the texture of the land and the touch of a hand, to smell the scents of sweet blossoms and grass, to be awed by nature's vistas and views, to marvel at creatures of land, water, and sky, to see both life and death and the struggle between, to go through the rigors of pain in the legs, to learn from it the qualities of detachment, to gaze at the truth of duality in my face, to feel the sun's warmth and the winter's embrace, to step into the tall, to make me feel small, to build physical strength, fortitude, character, to help realize the world's fragility and whimsy, to see the pillar of the source behind the force, to understand service as all that there be, to share what I've learned and to pass it on. Got it. Thank you.
I love it.
Love it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming on tonight. And oh my gosh, it was just so good to see you again and just to feel your energy and all of the things. And I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for everything that you do.
Well, thank you.
For the world.
Thank you, Jennifer. And
beautiful human.
Yes. And I just want to say, Shannon, as well, that thank you for having me on board and getting a chance to talk about the glories of more walking and less walking.
I like that.
I resonate so much with what you say, because I'm really connected in my own opinion to energy and vibes and just the flow of that source and everything. And so when we talk about with nature, all that stuff really matters. And so I really liked talking with you tonight because it really connected at such an easy level for me. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. And I hope to see you down the road sometime.
Yes. And maybe I'll come try out your be a monk for a weekend thing.
Yeah, sure,
You
sure.
never know.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm in Gainesville right now.
yeah. Sure, sure. Yeah. Gainesville would be a good place, or if you ever coming up to see Niagara Falls, we're just a stone's throw from there, you know.
Awesome.
Well,
Thank you
good
so much.
night. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We
And
appreciate you.
you have a great night. And guys, next week, our guest is going to be from RIP Paranormal. It is Greg Stevens and also his son, Brandon Lee. They both have so much, they, of course, veterans, but they've done so much to help other veterans out with PTSD and suicide. And they are going to come on and talk about the Project Reboot Recovery. And it's going to be some really emotional stories we're going to talk about and how we can help other people and reach out and stuff. So, but thank you again. It was lovely talking to you. It was lovely
It was
talking to
wonderful.
Valentina. I've enjoyed
Happy
tonight.
trails to you.
Happy trails, sweetheart. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Take care.